Welcome back. You're watching the Daily Rundown. Now, All Saints have revealed the sexism they faced as an all-girl group in the late 1990s, including being pressured to go topless on Top of the Pops. The group, who have recently reformed after a decade apart, said that they were told if they did not remove their tops, they would be cut from the popular BBC programme. In an interview with the BBC, the group said producers wanted to shoot the band from the shoulders up to create the illusion that they were performing naked. This is very upsetting for me because, I think we're all kind of at an age that Top of the Pops was big. Do you remember Reg waiting for the number one?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not gone that long even. Now, what upsets me about this is kind of, we go back, obviously there's been revelations, the Jimmy Savile and all that. Now we're looking at clips in a different way. But this was only the 90s. Are you shocked to hear that this kind of carry-on was going on in the 90s?
I'm not shocked. I think that I forget the name of there was a band that came out that quite famously were just put together as a joke, and they were put together to prove that you could just put five random people together to sort of make it to the top of the charts. But let's not forget, that's basically how the Pet Shop Boys came into creation. Neil Tennant thought, well, he worked for Smash Hits, and he thought, well, we can do this. But yeah, the sinister edge to this is that, as they said in this article, you didn't see, boy bands being asked to do the same thing. I mean, I know there were a few early Take That videos with there were lots of cream pies going everywhere, and and then the older one with Lulu, which had a little bit of a tinge to it. But yeah, as it says in the article, I remember All Saints getting a reputation. All Saints did have a reputation for being snooty and a bit edgy. But yeah, looking back on it now, you're looking back at it and you think, yeah, I mean, if this is the sort of thing that they were facing everywhere they turned, then yeah, it seems to be this kind of. It's not the first time that a bit of risque kind of the suggestion, of the video. I forget. I don't even know the name of the song, but I think we all know the video of the ladies in the dance class. Which had nothing to do. Again, I don't know what. Exactly. But Valerie. Yeah, sex sells. But it's a bit sinister.
I don't mind somebody saying I'm sexy and I'm going to make it empowering. I'm going to make it about me. And I know that Miley Cyrus has claimed many times that what she does is empowering for her. Now I don't know whether that's true or not. She's very young, especially when she started becoming Miley Cyrus over Hannah Montana. She was very young when she started doing the more salacious things. And I know that Sinead OConnor said, look, you don't have to sell yourself out to actually produce good music. I think you're talented on your own without having to
ultimately, Madonna had done it 20 years beforehand, had she? It wasn't super shocking though. And like you say, if it's driven by her and her management team,
this is the point. A management team. It's
a bit different to being told you're not going to Top of the Pops unless you show some skin.
Well, that's awful. I mean,
topless.
I just think it's dreadful. But then again, you're talking about the management team. Who's to say that similar practices aren't going on in the wider music industry? Well, if you sex yourself up, you'll really go far. You're really good, but just you give yourself that sexy edge, you're going to go far. Especially some of these girls, they're really very young. Well, how old was Billie Piper when she started producing?
16,
exactly.
Well, I'm thinking Tattoo. The two young girls. They were very contrived. But there was the suggestion of that early suggestion of these two schoolgirls, and to me it was just like, oh, for goodness sake. I mean, maybe that it was a boat that left me on the shoreline, but I've always been a great believer. The music is there. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm as a fan of the Red Hot Chili Peppers, what All Saints did to Under the Bridge, personally speaking, makes me turn. But it seems to be that the idea to this casting couch, or this idea to get ahead, and it's just I'd like to think that we'll get to a time where we won't look back 20 years ago and go, oh, we still had sexism, but unfortunately...
You don't think we will? That's what I was going to ask this. Will there be any kind of gender balance? I know, sex sells, obviously we know all that, but like I say, I think it's a completely different situation to being coerced, whatever way you want to look into it.
In such that limited space of time, it's like if you want to be on this television, you're going to have to make that snap decision.
Week, if you remember, I mean, a lot of younger people might not remember how it works, but if you were in the charts, you were wanting to go. If you were in the top 20, you were going to be on top of the pops potentially. You only had that. It was a time-sensitive thing, like you said as well. That kind of pressure is very, very sinister. Do you think it taints? I mean, Top of the Pops was an institution. Remember Christmas #1, all that kind of thing. They still repeat it. I mean, although it's highly edited now because they tried to get rid of one particular presenter. But does it taint our already tainted outlook, our perception now of Top of the Pops of an institution?
Certainly. I mean, it just seems that it was very exploitative from that, from the things that we know, not just that one thing from the fans, that from in the 70s to the actual acts themselves.
But I think Top of the Pops has always had, I mean, not so much this, but I remember, Dexy's Midnight Runners came on to sing a song about Jackie Wilson, and they put a picture of the Scottish darts player Jockey Wilson on behind them. I mean, it's, the Top of the Pops has always had, it seems that in the past there were just little kind of mishaps, and now obviously as we look back, not just one particular presenter, there was a couple of presenters there that maybe have been isolated out, and I think Top of the Pops has taken a few different kind of rounds of beating, and I think that this one is another round of beating.
Well, pop your tops if you want to be on Top of the Pops.
Oh, there you go, you see.
Sorry, I couldn't resist.
That's a good one. We'll leave it on that one, I think, because we can't better that. Thanks very much, guys. This is our last story of the evening. It's a question we're just going to ask. Would a label on a chocolate bar telling you it would take the average person 40 minutes to run off its calories stop you from buying and eating it?
No.
Because this is a...
No, it wouldn't. No, it wouldn't. We've had this debate at work. There are very many flippant points that we can have about this, but one that was raised by a colleague of mine, and that was raised in a podcast I was listening to, is there are some people out there who, being told that you have to run for 20 minutes to run off a chocolate bar, will daunt them. There are some people who will take that to the max and will, people who have, eating disorders or any kind of, or have issues around food. Yep. If you tell them, you eat this chocolate bar, you're going to have to run for 20 minutes. We already have people who have issues with food, issues with body dysmorphia. I mean, I can say flippantly, it wouldn't affect me because I just, that's not how I choose to choose what I eat. But I think that it may work for some people. The traffic light system seems to have worked for other people, but it seems that search engines are available. If you want to know how bad food is for you, it's not like you can't find out right now. There's lots of memes going around telling you what 200 grams of different food looks like.
It's like a follow-up. Obviously, we've had now for quite a while the cigarettes, the horrible ads. Then they started the messages on the cigarette box, and as far as I am aware, this has actually worked quite well. I mean, I don't know. I think I do know people who peel it off, or they'll just turn it around. Especially there's some particularly horrifically graphic ones in relation to unborn.
Well, the guy with the bad moustache, it's like have a bad moustache and you get a growth on your neck. Bad facial hair kills. That's all I take from it. I don't smoke, folks, by the way, so that's...
But it does seem to have worked to some extent. Now, we're still talking about very slow numbers. And obviously we're in the middle of the sugar tax debate and that kind of thing. Is it not kind of responsible of the government, do you think, to put something like this on food?
I think we need a more grown-up approach to food, though. I think the main problem is that people talk about healthy food, and it's not about a food being healthy, it's about a food being nutritious, because we know for a fact that many low-fat foods are just nailed with salt and have loads of preservatives and things like that on them. So I think that we need to move away from a healthy food to what is nutritious. Now, you are quite right that you say, if you eat this chocolate bar, the sugar in it, it would take you 40 minutes to run that off or whatever, but that's not how the body works. You are exerting energy all the time. So you're walking around, you're cooking, or you're going shopping, you're doing your day job, you're burning energy constantly. It's that one set thing. Now, sugar is a problem, especially refined sugar, but at the same time, that kind of information, as you said, it has
misinterpreted.
It can be easily misinterpreted.
So you worry about actually the accuracy of just the science behind it. Even it's a very kind of throwaway comment in a way to just say, or a throwaway statement to say, "Oh, go for a run, you'll get rid of this." But also, like you said, just eating can work.
Well,
off calories.
I've got a friend who's a bodybuilder. He's massive, like massive arms, and he was just eating like salted chickpeas, like really horrendous, a whole bag of them. I'm like, well, why are you doing that? It's like, oh, they're low fat, they're healthy for me. Like, with the sodium content in that alone is gonna potentially give you a stroke later on in life. So like,
that's horrendous. Well, what do you think about? Do you think that overall we're getting towards? Would you be worried we're just going towards like kind of a nanny state attitude to everything? I mean, there are some people who will think, well, look, we all know sugar is bad for you. We all know smoking is bad for you. But we are individuals, and maybe should we be in control of what we put into our bodies ourselves?
I mean, we should. I mean, giving people information and access to that information, I think, is important. If people choose to ignore that information, then that's up to them. I mean, I think that as AJ was saying, I think that it may be again more about educating people about food. You know, because I've not educated myself enough about food. I get my information anecdotally, but it's confusing. Some people tell me that that nuts are really good for you because nuts have oil and fats in them, but it's good nuts, good fats. And the fruits have fructose that has a sugar that breaks down in a certain way, but these fruit shoot things that you know, and other drinks are available, and other things with these things that are campaigned and marketed at children and for parents that say this is good because it has good sugars but it's not about that, and it's about saturated fats and unsaturated fats, and there's all these kinds of confusion. But the information is there. I choose to live in blissful ignorance. I think that there are people who do need this education. It's a sad fact that there are pamphlets on how to open a banana correctly.
Well, the problem,
you know, that's the world we live in.
I thought I had that down.
I think from the bottom, pinch, rip. That's how you open a banana.
I think the problem is though that like we're a consumerist culture, so we're led by advertisements. So you have companies advertising to us, and a lot of people, including myself, often we take that advertisement at face value as being a fact when it's not necessarily a fact. It's a marketing ploy to get you to buy that product. So I think we need some impartial actual advice rather than, you know, marketing.
And like you said, it seems to change week to week anyway, so it is hard to stay on top of. Thanks very much for that, guys. We're going to go for a break now. When we come back, we'll be interviewing musician Scott Lloyd. Don't go away.